Welcome everyone. My name is Dell and I'm with Healing Frequencies Music, and today Teddy is with me. You will notice in a lot of my videos you will see cats. Yes, Teddy, you can say hello. Teddy is a 5-year-old Maine Coon, and he likes to be on camera every once in a while, and he keeps trying to crawl up me, so I decided to just pick him up and put him on my lap. Anyway, I'm going to give you a kiss, Teddy, and I'm going to let you go. Hopefully he will stop scratching me. Anyway, I'm going to start doing little snippets of things for Healing Frequencies Music based on my life experiences. Most of you who are listening to this now know that by trade, I'm a classical musician, have spent 40 plus years of my life in the field of classical music. And I say it's probably one of the most disciplined professions that I think I've ever seen, because like sports, if you're not consistently doing something to better your craft, then you lose it. The unfortunate thing about sports is when you get to a certain age, your body says, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do this. With music, you can do some form of music up until the moment you die. Same thing with art. You know, any of the arts in general are really good they become ways that we can express ourselves and express what is coming from the inside of us. So the key point of today is to talk a little bit about patience and perseverance through practice. And anybody who knows anything about classical music will know that you pretty much marry yourself to a practice room, and you spend hours and hours and hours and hours playing the same things over and over. And you think, why would anybody do that? Well, in reality, these little things called fingers, they have to, I'm a clarinet player, I have to train my fingers, the muscle memory, to hit the right keys at the right time. And that is a consistent thing. It's like when you go to the gym and you work out, you sit there and you lift weights and you gradually work yourself up into bigger weights so that you're building the muscle memory, but you're also building muscle mass. So in music, it's very similar. But a lot of people, especially nowadays, it seems, don't understand that it takes a lot of patience and perseverance to get to that point where someone can stick a piece of sheet music in front of you and you can just play it the first time through, add some feeling into it, interpret it, add some dynamics, make a nice phrase out of what you're seeing in front of you that you have never, when you have music you have never seen before. So I'm going to take that and apply it to life. We're in a lot of interesting world situations right now, and I'm not going to necessarily say what they are, because even though this is 2022, 10 years down the road, you might be listening to this and the situation might be different. But when we have world circumstances that challenge our views, challenge our paradigms of what we think is right and what we think is wrong, then we tend to pick sides. Well, this person is right. This person is horribly wrong. I mean, and you get this going on, and you get these two different sides fighting against each other because this one thinks they're right and this one thinks they're right. But we don't understand that when we do that, it's keeping us from looking at the bigger picture. And, you know, there's been many things that have challenged me, and I have to think, all right, am I operating in this from a place of peace? The moment that fear comes in, you're toast. That's just it. If we are ruled by fear, eventually it takes place into our body. It becomes part of us and it makes us ill. And there's plenty of studies that show our belief systems actually affect our bodies. It affects how we respond, but it all starts up here first. And then eventually it goes into the rest of our being. And you'll have to excuse the sounds. Tilly, the kitten, has decided that she wants to play on the toy, sitting next to the microphone. Cats, what can I say? So the moment that we subscribe to fear, somebody says something that's just like awful, and you think, oh my God, I'm done. Or we get into this place where we think, oh, we're lost. Oh, we're toast. this is going to take over our lives. This is going to take over our lives. And I'm not going to be able to do this. And I'm not. The moment we do that, we have stepped in a place of fear. And when we're in that place of fear, we have practiced it through patience and perseverance of engaging with fear. So think about that for a moment. You don't just immediately become fearful. It happens when we entertain something and then we brood over it and we think about it and we ponder over it. It's like these little things sitting on our shoulders whispering sweet nothings in our ears, and they're going, me, 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 me. Oh, really? Me, 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 me. Ooh, nice. And sometimes they're not such nice things. The more we entertain them, the more they become a part of who we are, and then we act them out. So in order to reverse that, think like a classical musician. You go back to the very beginning of something that you're handed that's brand new, that you know is right. You start at the beginning, and then you just gradually, with patience and with perseverance, practice that new thing. That being said, there's a group of us, we'll get together, we'll talk about things, and we see fear, for example. Okay, what frequency can we release that combats fear? Well, the opposite of fear is love. So if you take, we'll say love is in this hand and fear is in this hand. If we take love, then we begin resonating all things that are in love itself. Eventually that becomes so big in us, and it's vibrating so much, and it's creating such huge waves, and it's just like, and eventually it just comes over here and it just wipes the fear away. But it doesn't do that without patience and perseverance as we practice. So you're going to notice that there's a lot of music that is on this YouTube channel. And so if you go into the videos and you look at the healing music, almost all of those were created with a mindset of releasing something specific. One of the most recent videos that I posted is one called Breakthrough. And that is an interesting one because, again, I was like, we need breakthrough. We need breakthrough. Okay, fine. Go create a frequency that is breakthrough. Now, for me, it comes out through music. For you, it might come through art. Think about yourself when you walk into an art museum and you stand in front of this particular piece, and there's something about that piece of art that really resonates with you, that just really captures you and brings you to an emotional point. So it's not just music. Love is not necessarily one musical frequency. It's an attitude that has a lot of frequencies that are all mixed into it. Love is the outcome, and you have all these ingredients that go into it. And we really get stuck on, okay, what's the frequency of love? There isn't one frequency. Because when you take your intent, so my intent was to release breakthrough in whatever area that we need breakthrough. Then I paired that with a musical song. So my intent arced with the song that creates an energy to release breakthrough. Now, at the same time, you come in, you listen to that song, and you agree, oh yeah, I need breakthrough. Let's have breakthrough in whatever these various areas are. And you continually release that. It's like taking a strong ocean wave and pounding the beach, pound the beach, pound the beach. And so that, eventually there's enough of a wave pounding up on a beach that it reduces rock to sand. So imagine taking this pounding of this wave of breakthrough that just pounds and pounds and pounds at fear to the point where it completely dissipates it to nothing that's even existing anymore. We can do the same thing with love. There's several songs on this YouTube channel. I literally take and I just pound fear with this love. And I do that by stepping into the frequency. For me, again, it's music. For you, it might be creating an art piece that you sit in your room and you look at that and you just say, I release love through this painting so that whoever sees it will feel love. And I know that sounds kind of woo, but there are a lot of studies that show that when you really focus on something, it will completely change you for the good and for the bad. It goes both ways. If you're going to focus on negativity, then you're going to live that out because that's your focus. If you're going to focus on love, then you're going to live that out because that is your focus. And I'm a living example of taking that and focusing love, peace, joy, hope. We can use some hope right now too. So if you see a situation that you find is very dire and you just like, and you want to get in fear, then go find some music, go find an art piece, do some crocheting, do something, knitting, going out and creating some woodwork, whatever it is that brings you into a place of stepping into hope. But here's the key. It has to be practice. It's not a one-time thing. One of the things that I do with Healing Frequencies music is because I understand the process of what classical musicians go through. I literally take that and I put it into what I do in my sphere, in my being, in my spirit, my soul, my body. And so I have a Song of the Month subscription, which I will put a link to that in the information below. And I create a song every month with an activation for people to practice all through the month. And it's all about practicing. You put something before you every day and you just wave, throw a wave after wave after wave after wave of whatever that is. Let's say you need some joy. Find something that brings joy to your life and wave it. Practice, practice, practice releasing that joy into your being, whether it be through music or whatever. But find something that makes you joyful and focus on it. Allow it to override all of the nasties, because nobody wants nasties in their life. Even if it's in the world staring at you in the face going, I'm going to come get you. So even when this stuff is staring at you, you can look at it and say, perfect love does cast out all fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. And you can continue sending waves of perfect love to this fear. Eventually it goes, and it shrivels up and dies. But it's not going to do that without patience and persistence on our part. So when people order the Song of the Month or sign up for it, then that's a way that they can practice consistently throughout the month, whatever that thing is for the month. Then the other thing I do is I create sound baths. I call them frequency immersion sound baths. You've all heard of VST. I think it's called vibrational sound therapy. There's a lot of people using crystal bowls and a variety of percussion instruments, gongs, drums, all kinds of things to create sound baths. Wonderful. And I think that people should do those things. In fact, I actually have a version of that myself, and I'll put a link to that below as well so that you can go listen to it. And then I do personal songs for people. And I'll put that link in below as well for the purpose of giving you a tool to practice. Now, the difference between the sound baths that I give and what the general population does is I record them. And you think, okay, why would you record them? Let's go back to the practicing with patience and perseverance. Let's say you got something in your body. You got a sickness on you. You go to the doctor. The doctor gives you some sort of a drug that you're supposed to take for a certain amount of time. When you don't take it as prescribed, then you're going to have issues. There's a reason they prescribe something to be taken for a certain amount of time for so many days, 2 or 3 times a day, whatever it is. And if we're not consistent with those things, then we're not going to see the results, is what we're told. Okay? So think about any kind of healing protocol that we go through, or even if we're dealing with getting rid of fear out of our life, or getting rid of anxiety, or getting rid of depression. We have to focus on the things that take us out of those places and let those higher, well, I wouldn't necessarily say higher, because when I say higher, people think it's a higher pitch. So I'm just going to say a stronger, more resonant frequency of hope that erases depression, for example. I'm not sure that, because some people it might be something different. But the whole point is that if we take that wave of whatever it is and just keep crashing this negative thing with that wave of hope, that wave of love, that wave of peace, that wave of joy, then eventually it destroys it. And they've even found out using certain frequencies will destroy things. The military is using those things because they've figured out there's certain frequencies when you pair certain things together that it can be harmful. But their intent is for it to be harmful. That's a whole nother discussion, which I have several articles on that on the Healing Frequencies Music website. But going back to the sound baths, so if you sign up for a sound bath, or you sign up for Song of the Month, or you sign up for personal song, you get a recording of something that you can take and you can wave. You can take the wave of that music, of that sound bath, and release it into your system. The other thing I like to do is I give you something that you can say over yourself so that it helps you partner with the frequency that comes through the music. And the whole point is to help you learn to practice through patience and perseverance, because we live in a microwave society that wants it now. That's unfortunate because it doesn't help. If we want to see breakthrough in our lives, we have to learn to practice what it is that we want. And I say that I'm a perfect example because 20 years ago, I was so sick I could hardly sit up. And I lived that way for 19 years. And it wasn't until I made a decision one day that I wasn't going to live that way anymore. But I also had to deal with some stinking thinking, some wrong paradigms, some things I had practiced in my life that had brought some of that into me. Once I started practicing a new way of living, then all of a sudden I started noticing it's going away. I wasn't taking any drugs. I wasn't doing anything. Most of it was done because I changed my lifestyle. And I don't think that we realize how important that is. So when you are taking music or whatever it is to practice something that you want to change in, the purpose is to use it continually. So again, if you order a personal song, or you sign up for Song of the Month, or you sign up for a frequency immersion sound bath, my goal is to give you something to practice through patience and perseverance, because sometimes it ain't going to be pretty. Life is not always a bed of roses. There are issues. And if we choose to learn from the hard times, it can launch us in to a greater understanding of when those times come. The next time we're like, I don't need to live in fear here. There's a plan. And I may not even understand what that is, but I do not have to be fearful. And I'm going to say one more thing about the frequency immersion sound baths is I am training people how to give them according to a protocol that I have developed. And a lot of that has come from my years of being a classical musician. I know quite a bit about music theory and how music affects us according to science. And, I've done plenty of research. And so I bring a bunch of those pieces into the equation. But again, my hope is that whatever you do, you can practice what it is you desire. And it's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes it can take 6 months. Sometimes it'll take 2 or 3 years. From the time that I started practicing this new health protocol, it was 5 years before I saw complete release of what had been going on in my body. And so if we think it's going to happen instantaneously, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's not. The more that you practice and the more that you persevere and the more that you do it from a place of peace and rest and patience, the more solid it becomes in your entire being. And it will bring you to a new place of life. So I'm going to end there, and then we'll have another little tidbit at some point soon. So thank you for joining me for this lovely segment on patience and perseverance through practice.